Oftentimes parents struggle to describe that experience that says something is not right, but I just don't know how to explain it. Yeah? What does that look like on a normal day? It looks like children taking more time than they need to finish homework, forgetting things that they understood yesterday, the day before, last week, or just always tired, always avoiding. And you're asking yourself as a parent, is it that my child is lazy? Is my child distracted? Is that my child's going to grow out of this thing? But here's the first point I want to make. Managing is not the same as mastering. Yeah, I'll say that again. Managing is not the same as mastering. Just because a child is managing, it doesn't mean the learning experience is a positive one, a productive one, a healthy one. A lot of children, unfortunately, learn how to cope with the systems and the processes before they actually learn how to learn. A lot of times, just the system and the way that it's built, they learn memorization and how to just memorize instead of understanding, how to guess instead of decoding, and we see that showing up with challenges in reading skills, yeah? And they learn how to rely on help on different levels. And of course, don't misunderstand me, help in and of itself is not a bad thing, but they learn to rely on help instead of learning how to progress from a place of independence. So from the outside, oftentimes things look fine, but internally, it's heavy, it's frustrating, it's stressful. And then sometimes, some of our children come up with the whole idea of, Mommy, Daddy, what is wrong with me? And these are the kinds of things that through the Academic Wellness Clinic, we really work with families to be able to address and to make better. So we started off by saying managing is not the same as mastering. I want to say this as well. Effort is not the same as effectiveness. Why is that important? Because one of the biggest misunderstandings we oftentimes have is the idea that more effort is going to automatically lead to better results. Not necessarily, to be quite honest. For some children, effort works beautifully and it produces the result that is desired. But for many other children, effort without clarity means everyone in the experience is burnt out. So we're not just talking about the child being burnt out, but a lot of times the parents supporting the child, the guardians, the aunties and the uncles burn out. Why? Because we're putting in all this effort, but we're still not getting results. And again, that's why I'm here to encourage us to consider beyond what oftentimes is the traditional mindset that, just do more, just do more, just do more. No. If doing more works to produce the intended result, great, do more. But if you've been doing more, the child has been putting in the effort and we're still not seeing that result, it means we need more than doing more. And it's okay to acknowledge that. And it's okay to seek support when we start realizing these strengths. And I really want to emphasize that in this particular conversation. Because what happens is that oftentimes strategies are being used that's not necessarily suited to how the brain processes information. Yes, we're all humans. Yes, they're all students. We all function, we all think. But we are different humans. And as different humans, our brain processes information differently. And again, through the Academic Wellness Clinic, we really work with families to better understand how does this child work best? What works better? What kind of learner do I have? What are the challenges? What are the things that we do or the ways that when my child does it, it produces results? These are the kind of insights that make the homework experience and revision experience so much more effective. Because, over the years, I've worked with many children who really are trying hard, sometimes harder than others realize. They work for longer times, but guess what? Sometimes it's not about working longer. Sometimes it's about working smarter. Sometimes we have children that they're pushing so hard, but they're not progressing. And over time, they become discouraged. So not always is it a motivation problem. Not always is it a discipline problem. But sometimes it's a learning efficiency problem. And what do I mean when I say that? When we talk about a learning efficiency problem, we're talking about, are the methods that we're using right for the child? And as parents, I really want to encourage you to tap into that. Really looking at, what is my child doing and how is my child doing it? So that way you can make sure that you're learning, not just hard, not just pushing, not just being stressed out in the process, but in learning, you're being efficient in the learning experience, yeah? Now, sometimes it's a little bit hard to catch it in the early beginnings. Why? Because schools are super busy, classrooms are full, teaching, boom, 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 gotta get it done, and children are coping, trying to adapt. So it's very easy for a child to then just sit quietly, behave well, and just struggle. It happens, and we know this, it happens, yeah? And a lot of children don't even complain, they just take it in. They just take it in as part of the frustration that is associated with school. And they develop this disdain for school. And oftentimes parents only realize something is wrong when homework then starts to become this battle, like, oh my gosh, my child doesn't want to do their homework, or they have anxiety, or the once confident child all of a sudden is not confident anymore, or we're seeing progress starting to stall, that parents tell you sorry, say, oh, my child was an A child, my child was a B child, and now the teacher is complaining about such and such. These are signs that here's what, something probably was going on all the time, There was a challenge brewing deep on the inside, we just didn't recognize it. And so when we start seeing these things, I want to encourage you, mommies and daddies, is not to ignore it, but it's to realize, hey, something is happening here, let's figure it out. And that figuring out process may work different for different families, but I really want to encourage you. It's okay to figure it out and to say, hey, this experience, this method, whatever it is not necessarily producing the results that I want, so we need to figure it out. So let's reframe some things. We've talked about a lot of challenges, but let's do some reframing. So the first thing, wondering what's going on with your child and wondering about how to make it better doesn't mean you're panicking. It means you're positioning yourself to have impact. Checking on what's happening doesn't mean you're labeling your child. It doesn't mean that something is suddenly wrong with your child. No, checking means, again, positioning yourself to make impact. And asking a question, whether you ask a question of your child or whether you ask a question of the teachers at school or whoever, asking questions doesn't mean something is wrong. It means, again, what you're doing, say it with me, you're positioning yourself to make positive impact. That's right. It simply means you care about your child's learning health enough to choose not to pretend that the results that you want you're not getting. It means you care enough not to decide, oh, I'm not going to be a fussy parent. It means you're caring enough to say, here's what, I am making an observation, and because I care, I'm going to check just to make sure everything is okay. That's what it means. It means you care enough. Because in the same way, think about it this way, yeah? If it is you see your child squinting, would you just leave them to squint? No, you wouldn't. You would look into it to try to figure out, hey, what's going on with my child's vision? If it is that you're talking to your child and it's like they're always not hearing properly, you probably do a hearing screener, or you would have this awareness that, oh, I need to look into it. So it's the same way when your child is learning and you're seeing some differences there. We're not gonna imagine it away. We're gonna say, hey, I'm seeing some differences here. I want to look into it. And when we look into our children's learning and their ability to learn effectively, we're not looking into their learning to judge or to diagnose something prematurely, but we're looking into it. Why? So we could understand. So we want to make sure that even through the VLC Academic Wellness Clinic, we continue to work with families to help them understand. And so I just really want to encourage you guys. Understanding is key. It positions you to be in a space where you can make impact, you can make positive impact, and you don't have to carry guilt as a parent. So I hope that one of the main takeaways you have from this conversation here today is it is okay to ask questions. It's okay to check into your child's learning health. That just as if something physically was manifesting in your child, you would look into that and you would check into that and say, hey, what's going on here? If you saw something happening like a rash on your child's skin or something, you would look into that. In the same way, if you're observing a difference in the way your child functions, I want to say a difference, it could be past compared to present, or that difference could also be I'm looking at what is happening versus what I, the parent, expect. If you're seeing those differences, it's okay to check. So check into it. Ask those questions guilt-free, knowing that you're going to be able to make positive impact in your child's learning health. So until the next time, continue to check in, continue to ask those questions, and we at VLT, we're going to continue to be here to support you and your child's learning journey. Yeah? Take care, guys.